Hello and welcome back to Mask of the Plague Doctor by Peter Parrish with me, Barton. Right, we're on chapter 10, The Invitation. The lines on the old man's lips remind you of parched soil as the smell of oaken incense drifts through the sanctuary hall. His halting mouth recounts a story you've heard a dozen times. Clergy burn the incense of all hours, at all hours now, making every effort to disguise the putrid sweet stench of the hall's inhabitants. The space between your eyes throbs with a nagging pain. And we were all out in the streets that day. You see his body tremble beneath the blanket, a piece of threadbare cloth held together by the perseverance of 2 or 3 hardy fibres. His expression falls vacant for a spell, as it often will. His cracked lips rub together and part, eyes wandering, searching for memory, the only one that remains. Today, it was clear. We could all see colours and uniforms. The Baron on his horse, a white. The man pauses and frowns in confusion behind you. Oh, behind you, volunteers and clergy go about their grim duties. Robed figures sit by makeshift beds and tents, administering herbs, listening, tending to the dying. An anguished moan arises from across the hall, then subsides into the bustle of a room in ceaseless sorrow. You can ask William. He would recall, the old man says. A weakened, barely raised finger notes his conviction. Where is William? You sigh, wondering whether to restate the truth or reshape a kinder recollection. I think a gentle lie will serve. He fights still for the crown, you say. You saw him off that day. Do you recall? Yes, the man replies, the memory softening his sharp brow. William, he looked so gallant. You nod and force a smile. This man may not see another dawn. He need not be reminded that he outlived his son. You stay by your patient's side while the tide of memory continues to lap at his awareness. It recedes, piece by gradual piece, till the old man lies in silence, staring upward, awake but absent, the pain of perpetual wakefulness, numbed by your herbal remedies. A small cough at announcement behind his shoulder makes you turn. One of the monks apologizes for disturbing your work. No need, you say. What can I do for you? There's a messenger asking after the doctor in the wolf mask, she says. Says it's about the mayor. For an agonizing moment, you thought this may be a word of progress in your experiments. Since the lichen doses were applied, you've devoted every hour to infirmary work, an effort to distract your mind from the excruciating wait for results. This method has had mixed success. The approach of every robed figure has carried the torturous hint of possibility. This, however, carries the added hint of further distraction. Where, you ask? Entrance archway. We've been wary about who we let in since all of that. This man may not have much time, you say, keeping your voice low as you motion towards twitching limbs beneath the sparse blanket. I'll see to it that someone is at his side. You thank them and take your leave of the hall. Let's locate the messenger. The young man you recognise from Rosalind Cover's troupe of players kicks snow from his heeled boots against the archway of the sanctuary. He looks up and smiles as you approach. A curved dagger hangs from his belt. Actors are carrying blades off stage now, I see, you say, nodding towards the weapon. The streets are dangerous, Doctor, he replies, voice deeper than his soft complexion would suggest. Even a practitioner of the arts has to take care. I'm aware of the arts in which you specialise, you reply. What does Corvée want? The man's smile doesn't falter. He reaches into a patchwork jacket and produces a piece of parchment bound in fine ribbon. For you, he says, presenting it. You unfurl the document and begin to read. The esteemed and wise Mayor Sybil Blake welcomes your presence at a masquerade of spellbinding style and delicious daring, to be held this eve. Attend the Blake Manor in your finery and conceal your visage well. Prizes shall be awarded for creativity and wit. We shall dance away our cares until tomorrow. The mayor is having an ill-advised party. You shrug. Not exactly out of character. I can't prevent it. So, what does that have to do with me? There may be many friendly faces at this event, he replies. Half of the musicians, some of the servants, and it is Rosalind's hope yourself as well. I see. So this source is to be Corbeil's moment to strike. Or soiree, sorry. So this soiree is to be Corbeil's moment to strike. It is, as you say, an ill-advised party. Where did you acquire this invitation, you ask? The man affects a coy expression before his smile returns. The rich have needs, he says, same as you or I. And what are Corbeil's needs? What exactly would he expect of me? To mingle, to blend in as any other masked face. The man pauses. To lend legitimacy with your voice. When the time comes for power to change hands, can we count on such support? You do not intend to offer your full commitment just yet, but unless your experiment bears sudden fruit, there's a distant chance the evening will once again find you at a loose end. My medical duties take priority, but I may attend if able. The chance to watch Mayor Blake being overthrown does have a certain appeal. It would be gratifying to see mayoral power restored to its rightful bloodline. I don't care about that one at all. I respond with a silent nod. Perhaps I may yet warn the mayor of this threat. So, last two are out straight away. Right, so let's deal with the other ones from the bottom up, actually. Chance to watch Mayor Blake being overthrown does have a certain appeal. So, that kind of harks back to the whole incident with the chair and her getting antsy and kicking us out. So, could see that being a motivating factor, but I don't think it's top priority. Then next one, my medical duties take priority, but I may attend if able. That certainly sounds like Gamble. I suppose it could be beneficial to make myself available to the mayor. That's kind of more commitment than we want to give, so I'm pretty sure that we're going to go with this. My medical duties take priority, but I may attend if able. As I have said, it is Rosalind's hope that you will be in attendance at his hour of triumph, the well-armed actor replies. The messenger departs, leaving you with the invitation at hand. You fold it up and place it within your robes. Though the sun is struggling to break through the latest bank of snow-filled clouds, its position tells you that the mayor's ball will not begin for several more hours. You're in no hurry to make a decision, with the ongoing lichen experiments looming large in your thoughts. Earlier this morning, there was still no definitive sign of deterioration in any of the participants. All three of you took turns observing the rabbits, and none exhibited any troubling symptoms. The animals, so far, have been sleeping soundly. You crossed the courtyard and entered the dormitories, allowing your robes to settle about you. Now that you are out of the wind, they already seem to hang a little looser than when you arrived. You're one of the luckier ones, able to supplement the Sanctuary Kitchen's lone meal with a portion supplies of your own. The faces of many in Thornback Hollow streets tell you that the pale, watery soup of the Sanctuary is more than most are now able to scavenge for themselves. You think about the bountiful fare Sybil Blake will present at her ball. It is a foolish thought. Driven by a gnawing discomfort in your gut, you make your way back to your room. Of late, even the rigid chunks of black bread have become appetizing. The afternoon still stretches ahead. Once your stomach has been calmed and teeth recovered from their ordeal, how will you spend these next hours? So this one is certainly interesting because Alice has told us not to talk to her. Ayoko, as I said before, is more of an acquaintance than a friend that we would seek out. Lucia, I think it would almost be cruel to go and seek out Lucia after we rebuffed them. So I don't think that's what we would do. And I don't think, although maybe part of Lucia would be partly maybe pleased to spend time with us, I think it would be cruel to spend time with someone that you have rebuffed in such a way, and maybe, almost rekindling hope. Or it could be that they still hold, not necessarily a grudge, but they maybe hold like some resentment as to how things ended between us, that it doesn't feel right to do that. So then it's a choice between spending time with Alice or keeping to ourselves. I think in this situation where Gamel, as we discussed before, is someone who doesn't really have many chances for romantic involvement, would actually try at least to spend time with Alice. Whether or not anything can be rekindled between them, I don't know, but I think he would actually at least try. So let's do that. You knock on Alice's door, expecting the silence you receive in response. In truth, you find it surprising that she hasn't yet set up bedding in the cellar laboratory. Then you recall the presence of the silent, eerie monks. Perhaps your colleague still has sound reason to return to her room after hours. Alice, you call, rounding the corner to the entrance after descending the steps. Experience has taught you that she tends to sit with her back to the doorway. You've no desire to startle her in the midst of something delicate. If you're here to work, I won't prevent it. Your colleague makes no effort to look at you, remaining hunched over a workbench, attending to something you cannot see. But like I told you, I have nothing to say to you at present. Let me explain. No, you listen. Alice puts down her tools with a clatter. The fox mask swings your way. I can be cordial enough to work beside you. Not so stubborn as to undermine our efforts against the plague, but you betrayed my trust, and that wound won't heal overnight. You nod. I'm sorry. Perhaps in time. Perhaps, she retorts. The empty eyes of the fox remain upon you as you turn around and depart. Right, so actually, that reminds me, let's actually check our stats. Okay, so physician is still at 32, surgeon 60, missus 59, presence 46, panache 48, and resilience 54. So although we talked about before where like mysticism, we're not really into it, we do have a skill in it at least. So that's maybe why the communing worked a little better than maybe our attitude towards it would indicate. And then inclinations, still compassionate, blasphemous, still populous, very principled, somewhat jovial. The Waking Death, source of contagion, we're up to 70%. Progress and cure is 44, spread of infection is 53. So hasn't spread anymore, but we have made progress in the cure. That's good. We now have 6 medical recruits, so 5 of them came from the what are they called? The cult, the Dweller in Thorn cult, who switched sides, so that's good. Then, so unrest is very much winning out over order. Crown favor is still the same as before. Dweller influence is reduced slightly, I think. Now let's have a look at this. So Alice, we're still 75% with. Okay. Ayoko 46, Lucia 61. I expected that to drop down to somewhere where Lucia is. Sybil 27. Alviva 43. Rosalind 49. Theobald, we're up to 44 now because we sided with him in his dispute with Aelwyn. And Dweller influence is 47. Okay. Okay. Now let's return to the game. And rest in a room. You fuss and turn in your bed. drifting in and out of a much-needed doze. Too much on your mind to allow anything approaching a settled sleep. Faces fade in and out of your fragmented dreams. Companions, foes, the drawn visage of the dying, all under your care. As you groan and stir, the images withdraw. You feel the weight of your own outstretched arm resting across your forehead, shifting to your side. You see the outline of your removed wolf mask lying by the side of the bed. Masks. The ball. With another groan, you sit up, rub your head, and consider your options. Attendance at the mayor's event could place you in an ideal position to guide the political future of Thornback Hollow and secure valuable support and resources for the trials ahead. But if you leave the sanctuary grounds, your colleagues and the resident clergy may have to react to any developments in the ongoing lichen experiments without your assistance. I'll find a representative to tend the ball in my stead. Yeah, because we're staying here. We've got to be on top of things here and see. But I don't know who would go in her stead. Maybe Lucia? You don't wish to leave the sanctuary, but it would still be worthwhile to send someone to the ball. In your mind, you check off potential candidates. With the lichen experiment in progress, Ayoko would surely want to remain here. Alice, too, would never be persuaded to leave at what could be such a critical hour. Nor do you think you could convince old Abbot Quelm of the necessity of this task. As if Covey intends to make his bid for power tonight, Lucia will already be involved, but in a quite different capacity. Few others come to mind unless you haul yourself out of bed and try to straighten out your robes. At this hour, she will either be at rest or directing the rounds in the infirmary. Closing the door to your room, you begin your search. Track down your attendee. And why would I do that? Prioress Marilda asks, pausing her stirring. The cauldron before her simmers. You try to catch a sniff of what may be cooking, but the contents give off no obvious odour. Little more than water again, you suspect. You want me to abandon my patients? For an evening, you add. Abandon them, so I can flounce around Mayor Blake's obnoxious party wearing a... She gestures at the wolf mask. Strange shroud to hide my face. Your mask would not have to be a wolf, you point out. And spend my time staring at the other people's covered faces. Marilda picks up the ladle and returns to stirring the weak broth. Not to mention the risk of contracting the waking dead at such an irresponsible gathering. That's why I hope you will attend. She narrows her eyes and the ladle clangs against the side of the cauldron as her stirring takes on an angry quality. You hurriedly continue. What I mean is, this ball carries the risk of further infection. Myself and my colleagues are indisposed this evening, but it would be of great assistance if we had someone of medical experience keeping watch over the proceedings. And if I do see any evidence of the disease, who am I to shut down a mayoral party? Her tone still carries a note of suspicion, but you detect some renewed interest in your proposal. You report back, and as representatives of the Crown, we would do what we can to isolate the sick. Well, I don't have a mask, she says, scooping meagre amounts of thin soup into numerous wooden bowls. And there are duties to be taken care of. I can't simply... Cut some holes in the hood, you say, interrupting her as you produce the invitation. Or some sacking. Improvise. I'll take care of any work that needs doing. Marilda studies the parchment. I've never seen the mayor's manor, she says, looking up from the invitation, a partial smile visiting her expression. I do have some formal robes, usually for high rituals, but they would serve. Enjoy your evening, you reply. Okay, perform Marilda's duties. You spend several hours attending to the administrative functions of the infirmary. Alongside a cohort of dedicated monks, you do what you can to maintain the comfort of your suffering patients. Filthy articles of clothing are replaced. The few herbal sedatives you have found to ease their constant pain are given to the most agitated. As a group, take turns keeping watch over a woman who appears close to death, staying by her side as she struggles to take her last breath. You relinquish your vigil to a thin monk who looks at the dying woman with desperate pity. In time, tired from your physical and emotional exertions, you find yourself carrying a trencher stacked with wooden bowls and climbing the staircase that leads to the corridors above the sanctuary hall. A broad-shouldered woman accompanied you. She carries a sharpened stave and tells you her name is Godith. Some of them up here, they see things they aren't there, she adds. You give them soup and they scream and scratch. That's why I have this. She nods at the staff in her hand. You place the tray beside the first of the sturdy wooden doors, taking care not to spill any of the contents. Reaching to your belt, you produce a ring of heavy iron keys Rilla left for you. All sounds quiet in the room beyond, but Godith lowers the point of her stave nonetheless. You do your best to ease the door ajar, but the weight of the construction means you have to force it with your shoulder. It judders forward, leaving enough of a crack for you to stoop and slide one of the bowls through. Without warning, a pair of filthy arms spring forth from behind the door, sore-riddled fingers snatching at the helm of your robes, unseen lips seed and hiss, spitting out guttural sound. Good reacts with speed, using the base of her staff to knock the grasping digits away from your garments. Heart pounding, you slam the door closed and lock it with shaking hands. From the other side comes a loud thud, then a clatter, following by a burst of shrieking laughter, devoid of all joy. Doesn't have much time left, that one, Godith says, shaking her head. They get worse before they die. We should speak it plain. No. Godith is doing a job that's very hard for anyone to do. So we should, and we are supposed to be sympathetic, so we should be more sympathetic. It's alright, Godith. You're doing what you can. Godith returns a mournful nod. Can't help wanting to do more. You attend to other patients. Working your way down the corridor, most are more subdued than the first encounter, and Godith is only forced to employ her stave on 2 more occasions, the first on a woman who tries to barge her way out of confinement, and later on a young man whose face is smeared with filth. Despite your medical experience, the pain of witnessing people in such conditions has not eased with time. You feel a wrenching desire to remove their suffering, improve their lives, and a deep, desperate helplessness, knowing that at present you cannot. As you unlock the penultimate door, you notice that Godith is making no effort to ready her weapon. No need, she says, noticing your unease. This one talks in riddles, but he's harmless. Speaking plain, I'm not sure why he was separated. Hello, you call through the cracked door. I've brought food. Nudging one of the last bowls of broth forward, you wait for a response. From the shadows at the back of the cell emerges a man of middle age. From Godith's introduction, you anticipated a wild-haired eccentric, but this occupant has a stable gait, clear eyes, and appears to have maintained his hygiene as well as could be expected. He speaks some words in a tongue you do not recognize. This man is not unhinged, you tell Godith. He's foreign, not of this realm. Through the gap, you see the man's eyes widen. He starts to nod with vigor, speaking faster. You try to explain that you cannot understand him when a pair of familiar words give you pause. Waking death. Waking death? Have you seen such a disease before? What are you telling me? You ask. The man pauses, his eyes searching upward. He begins to talk once more, this time in halting phrases. The language appears to share some common structure with your own. You understand a few more words. Something about ice, tall structures, an old relative. This may all provide to be a waste of time, but it's possible he has important information. I take my time with him, using care and patience to tease out meaning. I adopt a more severe tone, forcing him to find clarity. I try to react to what he's saying, taking opportunity where... Okay, let's be caring, because that is what Gamel really, at least professes to be. I'm telling you, riddles, Godet grumbles, turning as if to leave. Hold on, you say. Gesturing to the man with your hands, you encourage him to keep talking, lifting your mask in order to establish better contact. He repeats several of the same phrases, miming shapes with his own hands as he speaks. With some gentle persistence, you're able to figure out that tall structures probably refers to mountains or large hills. Coaxing further, you learn that somebody familiar to this man, either a far older family member or perhaps even a figure of myth, scaled the mountains and returned with an illness. He points around to the other cells, then mimics a manic expression. Waking death, you ask. He nods. Were you able to cure it? Did the person living life, you say, trying to unearth anything more? The man seems confused, but as you rephrase and reframe your questions, keeps calm and trying to establish shared understanding, realization appears on your face. More unfamiliar words tumble from his mouth, and you fear that this may be the extent of what you can learn. Yet, even as this doubt creeps in, one repeated term stands out. Mandragora. Mandragora, you say back to him. Mandrake? Is mandrake something that will help or hinder? The man simply nods again, repeating the word. Thank you, you tell him, expressing your gratitude in your face as best you can. I'll do everything I can to get you out of here. You are unsure exactly what you've learned from this exchange, but you sense that mandrake may have properties that relate to the treatment of the waking dead. Whether it acts as balm or exacerbation, you cannot be sure. Part ways with Godet. You yawn as you return the trencher to the sanctuary kitchens. Godet bids you a good night at the door, and you return the gesture. You hear the tap of her stave against the wooden floor, fading into the distance as she returns to her dormitory. As that sound disappears, you notice that all else in this portion of the building is still. The kitchen lies empty, and the candles have burned low and soft. Outside, as you make your way with care across the uneven earth of the courtyard, you look up. The black sky offers no clues as to the time, nor can you see many stars. A sustained blast of wind causes you to huddle within your robes and hasten your step towards your room. Mandragora. The imprisoned man's words repeat in your head, already feeling like a distant, ebbing dream. Doubt pervades your thoughts. You're exhausted, near desperate, and half-understood utterance are no substitute for real answers. Still, such time arises when the exchange may be vindicated. Urgent voices in the near distance draw your attention, even as the freezing gust upon which they were carried assailed you. Casting a longing glance toward the relative warmth of the nearby building, you turn and head towards the commotion. Two monks shelter close to the sanctuary entrance, ostensibly on guard. A cloud of excited breath spills from one of their mouths. Militia shattered. Aviva has triumphed. Say that again, you request, startling both as your mask's visage looms from out of the darkness. Word from the Prioress Marilda, the monk stammers. Mayor Blake is overthrown and imprisoned. The guild attacked during her ball, routed her militia, and occupied the upper quarter. While you were performing your duties in the sanctuary, it seems events moved on apace. You nod your thanks and head back to your room. In the morning, a new regime will be directing matters in town. Thornback Hollow rests in firm hands. Oh, and then this is the next one. Okay, so we're going to end that one there. It's a little shorter than normal, but yeah, I'd rather keep it to just one chapter per recording session. So that is, as I said, the end of that one. I hope you have enjoyed. I hope you're keeping safe out there, and hope to see you next time. Goodbye. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, maybe consider hitting the subscribe button there on the right, or checking out some other videos here on the left, or perhaps you might even share with some friends.